Have you ever had 600 shortcuts just disappear? Well, that happened to me. So I'm going to teach you how to back them up and share 30 plus new shortcuts. Like how to save all your screenshots to a folder and then delete them from your camera roll. Quickly change your wallpaper right from the lock screen. Transcribe and summarize Apple Notes or Bear Notes or do it from your Apple Watch. Get a word of the day and even hear how to pronounce it. Get a Pokémon card value just by taking a picture. I'll share multiple shortcuts to back up your shortcuts and even how to publish podcast episodes from a shortcut. By the way, if you want to learn even more about shortcuts, join over 4,000 people in my shortcuts community, ask for help, share shortcuts that you've built, and if you become a paying member, you get access to my weekly live streams, you can search my entire shortcuts database, and I just launched Shortcuts University on demand. It's a 13-video course teaching you everything you need to know about building shortcuts from scratch to advanced Apple Intelligence and working with APIs. I'm going to put a $50 coupon in that link down in the description, and if you sign up, 50% off the community membership, making it just $5 a month. First shortcut, I've shared some that delete screenshots from the last 30 days, but I actually like to keep my screenshots if I ever want to search or reference them later. So this simple shortcut will take all of your screenshots in the last month. You can change this time period to the last year or more, and it saves all of those screenshots to a folder of your choice. It's going to ask where to save, or instead of asking each time, you can tap here and choose an iCloud folder of your choice. Then all your screenshots will be saved automatically, and you can even automate this to run in the background. In order for this shortcut to work, make sure to go to the Settings app on your iPhone, or open the Shortcuts app on your Mac and go to Settings. Search for Shortcuts if you're on iPhone or iPad, go to Advanced, and make sure all of this is toggled on. Sharing large amounts of data, deleting without confirmation, and deleting large amounts of data. Be careful running other shortcuts because once you've toggled this on, it will delete large amounts of data. But I've created this folder called Screenshots in my iCloud Drive, and now whenever I run this shortcut, it's going to delete all the screenshots I've taken. So you can see here I have a bunch of screenshots in between actual photos. When I run it, it's going to move them all to that iCloud folder, save them as image files, and now they're deleted from my camera roll. But if I go to that folder here in my iCloud Drive, I'll see all the screenshots I saved, and these were from today. Now, a little pro tip, if you ever want to search those screenshots and find something quickly, I'll point Claude Cowork at that screenshots folder, and then I can just ask it to find something. I know I took a screenshot of an Uno meme somewhere I saw on social media, so I'm just going to ask Claude about that. Now, I instruct Claude to actually look at the images because all the file names are just IMG, although I could ask Cowork to rename them all. Next up, one of my most viral shortcuts was grabbing recipes from Instagram Reels or TikToks. Well, Instagram changed something and I had to adjust this shortcut, but now it works. So if you come across a recipe and the creator has put the steps and the ingredients in the caption, and they have to be there in order for this shortcut to work, now I can share to, tap view more, and your shortcut should be down here in the share sheet. There's my AI recipe to notes. Tap the shortcut, it will pull the raw HTML of this reel, find the recipe ingredients and the steps, and we'll create an Apple Note with all that information automatically. And there are the ingredients, we have the steps down here, and even a link back to the original reel if you want to watch it. Link to download that and all the shortcuts I'm talking about today are in the video description below. Next, the developer of Water Llama actually asked me on X to make a shortcut where it will open the current app in the App Store. So I put this shortcut in the control center here. It will get the current app on screen, and then whenever you run this shortcut from the control center hides, it gets the current app, and then opens it here in the App Store. I'll go to the Overcast app, run the shortcut again, and it should jump to that app in the App Store. This is helpful if you want to see if there's an update to the app that you're looking at, or if you want to read the developer notes in what's new in the latest update. And remember, you can add shortcuts to your control center by tapping and holding, tap Add Control, and then just search for shortcut. Then you can resize it to be that single icon, and all of these are shortcuts right here. Next, I created multiple shortcuts for the Artemis 2 images and making them wallpapers, but honestly, Federico Viticci over at Mac Stories built one of the best ones. So to download this shortcut, I'll put a link to his LunarWall article down in the video description. But this takes some of the best images from the Artemis 2 mission, gets a random version and the highest quality of that image, and then you can set it as your wallpaper. Now here on iOS, you actually need to choose your lock screen wallpaper combination and then it can set it. But if you run it here on your Mac, that last action just automatically sets the wallpaper without you having to choose or pick anything. So if I run it on my Mac, we should see my wallpaper change to a new image. I'll run it again here on my Mac, it'll choose a different photo and then set as my wallpaper that quickly. You can even set this to automatically run every morning, so when you wake up your Mac, you can see a new wallpaper every day. And speaking of wallpapers, I have two here that I call random iPhone wallpaper and random Mac wallpaper. If you have your own favorite wallpapers that you want to switch to maybe automatically through shortcuts, what you can do is put them all into a folder. So I have a wallpapers folder and then I have them categorized by device. I have all my iPhone wallpapers here, many from Basic Apple Guy. I'll put a link to his wallpapers down in the video description. And this will just get a random wallpaper from that folder and then set it on my iPhone. Remember, tap here and choose your lock screen, home screen combination. This is my filming focus mode. And then you can even put a shortcut here on your lock screen. Remember, tap and hold to edit your lock screen, customize, and then remove the camera icon here and add the shortcut control. And now I can run this shortcut right from my lock screen. Hold that button for a moment, it'll get a random wallpaper from that folder, and it sets it on my iPhone. I can run it again, and now I can have a new wallpaper whenever I just tap and hold this icon on my iPhone. Again, all this takes is having a folder with a bunch of wallpapers that are made for this device, and then here in the shortcut, choose that folder in the first action and your lock screen, home screen combination here. Also, when you expand this, turn off the preview so it just changes automatically without you having to do anything. And I'll put a link to a version that's for Mac, where it will just set the wallpaper automatically. You don't have to choose a lock screen, home screen on that one. And a couple other NASA photo ones. I updated my photo of the day from NASA, not to use their API because we overloaded it. So this is just going to pull the image from the web, and then you're going to see a description of that image right here. There's a new image every day, and you can see a little description there. You can also choose to save the photo of the day from NASA, or even set it as a wallpaper right from that shortcut. Or if instead you want to just be able to run a shortcut and set the photo of the day as your wallpaper, this shortcut will do that. Just run it, it'll get the image of the day from NASA, and it will show you a preview of what that image looks like on your lock screen. Some days are better than others, so I wouldn't set this for automatically, but it's a nice shortcut to run manually sometimes. Next, if you're into Pokemon cards, there's actually an API that's free-ish. I'm going to put my API key in this shortcut, but if it stops working, it's because too many people download it and are trying to use it at the same time. So go to PokemonPriceTracker.com and you can get a free API key. It doesn't cost anything at all. Put the API key here. Then when you run this shortcut, you can either choose to take a photo of a card that you're looking at in person, or choose a photo from your library. I can choose a photo right here. It gets the current market value. It does use Apple Intelligence, and it'll tell you how much that card is valued at. I can run it again. I'll choose an image from my library. I'll choose this one, and in a few seconds, it tells me the current market price for that card. Next, I get a lot of requests, and I just had one in the community of saving emails as a PDF and then summarizing it, putting the text in a note, or maybe scanning some documents. So this shortcut actually does both. You can run this from the share sheet when you're looking at an email, or choose some images to make into a PDF. I'll show you what it looks like. I'll go to an email I got here, and I'll tap the reply button, and once that sheet comes up, then I can tap the share button at the top of the screen and run a shortcut. I'll run my email PDF or scan shortcut. It's going to get the text of the email, summarize it with Apple Intelligence, and that quickly I have a brand new Apple Note, title, summary, the full text of the email below, and it's even going to create a PDF of the email and attach it to the note so you see the full document. So you can run that from the share sheet, summarize and get the full text from an email and save it to your Apple Notes, or you can just run it like normal, and maybe you took some pictures of documents or someone sent you multiple pages of a book. Well, you can choose those images from your camera roll. It'll pull the text from those images, still summarize, create a title, and now you have the title, a summary, and all the text that it found across all the photos in one place. And it will even make a PDF out of those images, so you have a single PDF document here in the Apple Note. Next, there's a lot of great apps for making quick voice memos, but you can actually do it directly on your iPhone and other Apple devices if you have Apple Intelligence. So what this note will do, this shortcut, when you run it, will actually start by recording audio. It's going to record for as long as you want. You tap it to finish the recording, and then it's going to transcribe, summarize, create a title for this Apple Note, and save it that quickly. So I'll tap it. It's going to send that transcription to ChatGPT through the Apple Intelligence model, create a note title just via Apple Intelligence, and create an Apple Note with everything you said. You can have these then saved to a specific folder in Apple Notes so you have all your dictated voice memos automatically attached. I also created a version for Bear if you prefer that. Does the same thing. It's going to start recording. And by the way, be sure to subscribe and hit that like button while you're watching. But also, you can subscribe and listen to my tech podcast, Primary Technology. I put a QR code here. You could scan that. And Mac Power Users. All those links are down in the show notes. Or subscribe to my Top 5 .tech newsletter. Yes, that is the thing too. All the links are down in the video description. I'll tap to finish recording. It's going to transcribe, summarize, do all the same things, but this time create the note in Bear Notes. And there you have it. And you can even do this on the Apple Watch. Now this has to be much simpler, and the Apple Watch doesn't have Apple Intelligence, but you can create an Apple Note with your dictated text from the watch. Remember, tap the eye icon at the bottom of any shortcut and make sure it says Show on Apple Watch. If you download this one, it should have that automatically. And if I go to the shortcuts here on my Apple Watch, I'll tap my new Apple Watch Note shortcut. It's going to start dictating what I'm saying right now. You can actually see it happening live on the watch. Record for as long as you would like. And then when I tap done, it's going to create an Apple Note with that dictated text. Let's go over to the notes here on my iPhone, and you'll see right here it's created the note. I've made the shortcut so it date and timestamps the note that you created, and you get that voice dictation syncing right here. Next, if you like word of the day type stuff, Merriam-Webster actually has an RSS feed that they update every day with a new word of the day. So you can just run this shortcut. It'll show you the word of the day, fortitude, give you the definition, give you some actual examples in a sentence, even more down here. And when you tap done, you'll actually see the last 5 days of the word of the day. If you missed a day, you can still select one of the past ones like orthography, and you get the definition, pronunciation, and more. You can even hack a widget with the word of the day using Apple Notes. So what I've done is actually on my home screen here, added an Apple Note folder. I created the Apple Notes folder called Word of the Day, and this will show the latest note here in the widget every day. Then I created a version of this widget that I call Merriam Word of the Day widget. You could download that, have it automated to run every morning, and then when you run this, it's going to create an Apple Note in that folder with the new word of the day, and now you can see it updated with today's date. Have that run automatically. You can see the word of the day right here in this Apple Notes widget, and it also adds all the information about that word of the day, even a link to see the entry here in the Apple Note. And another great app, this is a free to download, but you'll need to pay, which is like $3 a month, or you could save some money paying annually. But the LookUp app is actually pretty cool. Heard about this from the Shortcuts community. And so this will also get a word of the day, different than Merriam-Webster's, but it has a couple cool features here. When you run it, it'll tell you the word of the day. There's actually a little image that goes along with it, an excessively abundant supply of something, and it's going to tell you how to pronounce it once you tap done.
Glut.
Okay, I think I got that. You can choose to add this word to one of your collections in the app, or if you tap no, then you can also see a list of words that are synonyms for the word of the day. Here's several others. I like the word plethora, and if you select one of those, it'll add all the selected items to one of your collections. I put it in the liked words collection. I made it so those words that you added in that last list will go into your liked words collection in the app. Next, you probably have a lot of links or information that you share very often. It could be your email address, maybe links to your Instagram or YouTube channel. So what I've done is actually created a social links to Clipboard shortcut. You can change all of these fields to whatever you want here on the left and your links on the right. And when you run it, it comes up with a choose from menu. If I choose just one, like my YouTube channel, it's actually just going to put that link on my clipboard. Now, if I were to go somewhere like in a text message or on social media and paste, that link is on my clipboard. But if you want to share multiple, maybe you're sending an email and you want to send people all of your accounts like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, it's actually going to format the output with the platform name and link underneath and then put that on your clipboard. I actually have this shortcut running as part of my action button, so I can run my social links, choose any, and then they get put on my clipboard that quickly. Next, I've created automations that will set low power mode if your battery falls below a certain percentage. Well, someone wanted a little more customization. And so what this does is set it up as an automation. If your phone falls below 20%, it will get whether or not your phone is charging. If it is not charging and your phone falls below that battery percentage, it'll turn low power mode on and show you a notification. So right now, my phone is not charging, and if I run this, it's going to turn low power mode on and send me a notification. But if I was charging and for some reason my battery fell below it, it wouldn't send me that notification or set low power mode. To create an automation, go to the Automations tab at the bottom, tap the plus icon, go down to Battery Level, make this falls below 20%, run immediately, don't notify when run, and then just search for my shortcut, Low Power and Charge Notification. Tap the shortcut and that will automatically run when your phone falls below 20% battery. Also, I'm going to mention a couple third-party apps, and this one is new. Burr is kind of like Pushcut, if you're familiar with that. Burr lets you send push notifications to your Apple devices. It is paid if you want to use it long term, but you can really customize your notifications that are sent. You can set this up with automations, and Burr just introduced critical alerts, and you can enable them here if you want to break through focus mode, silence, and things like that. Then you can set it up where if your battery falls below a certain percentage on your iPad or your Mac, you can get a notification on your iPhone. And here you can even specify that it's time sensitive and put custom sounds to the notification. Then you can say it's time to charge, and you can even have it load something like a link. Burr is really customizable. You can change the title, the message, the sound, whether or not it is time sensitive, And you can even put a custom image URL and a URL that when you tap it, the notification will send you there. It's $1 a month or $10 per year. I paid for a year and gonna be just diversifying some of my shortcuts notifications and setting some up with Burr. Next, the built-in transcription action in shortcuts is pretty powerful, but if you wanted to use the OpenAI Whisper transcription, you can actually do that through a shortcut using OpenAI's API. Now, unfortunately, this only works with audio files that are under 25 megabytes. So this won't work for like 1 or 2 hour podcasts, but if you have short audio files or you've just compressed them small, you can run this shortcut, choose a file from the Files app on your iPhone, or run this on your Mac or iPad, and you can get a full transcription from OpenAI's Whisper API. Keep in mind, you have to put your OpenAI key right here in order for the shortcut to work. Next, someone wanted a daily briefing by calendar that also included all-day events and to be able to format it nicely. So what this shortcut does is it looks at all your calendars, even all-day events, formats it all, and then you can send it in a text to someone. You can have this automated to run every night. And if you wanted to specify what calendars it's pulling from, you can adjust that filter here in the top action. Next, I recently shared an MLB team update where you can see the scores and standings. Well, this is one for the NBA. It's not as complete, and I will keep this API key here. It may stop working if too many people try it. You do have to type a team name here in the first text block and make sure it exactly matches one of the teams in this dictionary list. But when you run it, it will give you the stats for that team. Some of the information is behind a paywall. It's using the Ball Don't Lie API, but you can see the last 3 games breakdown of the scores here, and you also see the next 3 games and what dates those are on. Next, another third-party app that I'm testing is LLM API Request. If you have a bunch of shortcuts or want to build some that actually use the API keys from services like OpenAI or Anthropic, one, you can save your API keys here in this app and then use them across multiple shortcuts. And the nice thing is you can always go in here and test the connection with that API key to make sure that it's still working. So I have all my API keys now here in this app, and then there's actions here in shortcuts where you can choose what API key you want to use, like OpenAI or Anthropic. Then you can even choose a model from that provider. And then you can just do your normal LLM requests. But the nice thing is you can also do things like add attachments, change the output format, use web search, even put conversation history in this action. So it gives you a little more flexibility when using these models. But let's ask it, give me a 3-sentence summary of the fall of the Roman Empire. And there we go. We have our answer from Claude right there. Again, you need to put your own API keys in that app for it to work, but you can do that. And I'll also mention you can do the same thing with the third-party app Actions. Actions is an incredible third-party app for shortcuts with a bunch of different actions. I did the same thing here, saving my API keys in the Actions app, and then I can call them whenever I would like. I'll show you how I do that in a moment. Now, I mentioned backing up your shortcuts, and yes, I did lose about 600 shortcuts earlier this week with a weird iCloud sync. So what I've done is this shortcut, which I already had, but I've now made it automated to run every morning. It gets all your shortcuts, your entire library, makes a zip archive from those shortcuts, and then saves it to your iCloud drive. Then if something ever happens to your shortcuts, you can go to that folder, wherever you're saving it in your iCloud drive. All your shortcuts are saved here, and all you have to do is double click one, and it will actually open in the Shortcuts app, and then you can add it quickly. You can select multiple and open those, but Shortcuts has been crashing a lot for me if I try to import them all at the same time. So I've been picking and choosing what I'm restoring. It's also giving me opportunity to kind of clean up my shortcuts library. But that daily backup wasn't enough for me, so I created this shortcut. And what this does is allows me to choose a folder that I'm currently working on. And typically, like when I'm making a video for YouTube like this, I have all the shortcuts in a folder. Right now I'm working in Apple Intelligence Part 13. That's the 13th video post Apple Intelligence. And I can choose a folder. It gets all the shortcuts from that folder, creates the iCloud links, and then actually backs them up in 2 places. It actually appends that information to an Apple note, and it appends that information to a Bear note. So if I run this, I can choose the Apple Intelligence Part 13 folder. It takes a minute because I guess generating those iCloud links is tough work. And then once it's done in the background, I can go over to Apple Notes. And if I go to my Shortcuts Backup folder, and if I go to my Shortcuts Backup note, at the very bottom, it's now saved all the shortcuts from that folder and also added a date and timestamp. So all the iCloud links are now saved here in this folder. And if I go to my Bear note, the nice thing about the Bear shortcuts actions is you can choose to prepend the note, meaning put it at the top of the note. And so that's what I've done here. Same date and time, shortcut name, shortcut link. And so if something happens or I lose it, I can run that shortcut while I'm working in a folder, and quickly back up all the shortcuts to both Apple Notes and Bear Notes. If you have lots of shortcuts that are critical to your workflow, back up your shortcuts. That's what I do. Also, someone recently asked for my renaming files using Apple Intelligence. Maybe you don't want to use Claude Cowork or other AI tools. So I created this shortcut. Just keep in mind, this shortcut will likely stall if you give it too many files, but it checks for the file type. If it's an audio file like an MP3, WAV, or M4A, it will transcribe it first, then use Apple Intelligence to figure out where to put it. I'll make sure to use ChatGPT because Apple Intelligence will cut out after a certain amount of characters. If it's a PDF or document, then it will look at the content of the text there. If it's an image, it will extract whatever text might be in that image and look at the image, try to rename it that way. And if it's a video file, it will make it an audio file first, then transcribe the audio file, and then try to rename that file as well. Now, if you run this shortcut on its own, it gets whatever contents of folder you choose. So if you choose a folder here, it will rename all the files in that folder. So be careful when you're running it, but you can also set this as a Mac automation, like on your downloads folder. So every time a new file is added, it will attempt to rename it as soon as it hits your downloads. Just be careful because it's going to rename all the files in whatever folder you choose. All right, these last few shortcuts are specifically if you make podcasts and if you host on Transistor, which is the best podcast host. That's where I host PrimaryTech.fm, the Top 5 Tech Show, Movies on the Side. It's all on Transistor. And they have a great API for accessing a bunch of information, both download numbers and even posting drafts of episodes. Now you need to get your Transistor API key from your account settings and put it in this box. I put my API key in the Actions app, and so I'm obscuring it that way. But it has my Transistor API key. And then when I run this, the first thing you want to do is get your show IDs. So run this Get Podcast IDs, make sure your API key is here, and in a few seconds, you will see the 5-digit show IDs for all of the podcasts in your account. I have quite a few. Then if you want to take action on a certain podcast, just take note and save this ID. We're going to use that ID in the Create Episode Draft shortcut in a moment, but I'll also include this shortcut. Remember, you need to put your API key in this top text block, but when you run this will actually give you a list of all the shows in your Transistor account. You'll see all my primary technology ones up here, and then when I choose one of the podcasts, it'll ask how many days do you want to pull the download numbers. So maybe I want to see what have been the downloads in the last 30 days. When I tap 30, it's going to actually show me very quickly how many downloads the podcast has gotten in the last 30 days. Pretty cool. And again, you can choose 90 days or even up to a year and see your download numbers for any show that quickly using that Transistor API. And then finally, create episode drafts. This has saved me a ton of time. I've actually built this into my other shortcuts for things like Primary Tech Daily. And this way, when I create that episode and it goes to Bear Notes and it generates a title and description using whatever articles I'm talking about, I can have an episode automatically drafted with the title and description ready for me just to upload the file. And you can add a bunch of other information. You can also dictate whether you want it to be a numbered, whether it's a bonus or a full episode. And for some shows where I use the same title and description, like Primary Tech Unedited, the Member Feed, and our Public Weekly show, I can create all 3 draft episodes at once. Just put multiple show IDs or whatever show ID you have here in this list action. And if I run this, it's actually going to create that episode draft. I get confirmation that everything was successful. So actually the show that I plugged into that shortcut was my Top 5 Tech. Again, link below if you want to listen, watch, or read my top 5 every week. But if I go to that podcast here in Transistor, I can go to my episodes, and you'll see here I have a draft ready for me, and this all pulled and sent the information from the Shortcuts app. If I scroll down, it even formatted the show notes where I could give it HTML, and it took all my formatting with link text, bold, italic, or underline, and I can quickly create new draft episodes that are ready for me just to upload the audio in any of my shows across my Transistor account. For many, many reasons, Transistor is my favorite podcast host. So that's 30 new shortcuts for you to test, download, customize for yourself. Links to download them all are in the video description. And I'd love to have you in the Shortcuts community, asking for help, sharing shortcuts you've built, and becoming a member supports me as a creator and this channel. Live streams every week, and there's Shortcuts University if you want to learn how to build shortcuts from scratch. You can join Shortcuts University with that $50 discount right now by scanning this QR code. You can also go to shortcut.bot and join the community for free. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button. I'll leave a couple videos around here that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.